So I got in a fight with my uncle a couple months back because he thought they them pronouns were so silly. Like, is my uncle evil? No. Disrespectful and lazy? Sure, on that particular topic. That's about right. When it comes to most people you know, like evil's generally not in the cards. Like selfishness, pride, recklessness, anger, jealousy, all of which could be part of a bigger problem. Maybe something physiological like substance abuse or unaddressed allergies or illnesses, or more likely it's simply sociological. Some people are just allowed to go through life the way they are, unchallenged. This gets me into a lot of trouble because, well, there are certain things I'm ready to fight about. Sometimes it's noble things like standing up to bigotry. Sometimes it's just about football. I'm not perfect, but I am pretty chill about most things, and I don't ever want to initiate a fight. But if someone just comes in like flailing their arms wildly with dumb fucking points, then I'm not really going to hold back. I'm going to dunk on them pretty hard. We're all adults. We can handle it. I say that, but that's not really true because people like me can really wreck a vibe. Getting up on a soapbox, no matter how agreeably righteous, really brings the room down. And honestly, that's the real crime, isn't it? It's not the guy who just said something racist, or the person who defended fascism, or the guy who thinks Dak Prescott is solely to blame for the Dallas Cowboys' offensive struggles this season. No, the one who engages the argument is the one that gets flagged for the penalty. In some circles, I bet the one who initially in some circles, I bet the one who initially says and does dumb shit really gets taken to task by the rest of the room. But in my family, you learn to sit quietly. It doesn't matter what anyone says as long as you don't fight about it. And that has been a struggle for me my whole life. So watching how Jacinto is just allowed to be in Guillermo del Toro's The Devil's Backbone, that shit drove me crazy. Like from the get-go, this guy sucks. He's pretty, but every word from his mouth is trash. And by the end, he's destroyed everything, including himself. Just pure evil, this guy. I get why you don't rat on people, by the way. And I also get why you don't speak up against injustice if you don't think you'll be protected when you do so. That's kind of what Del Toro is getting at here for the arc of Jacinto. But man, I could not help thinking at the beginning, if I were Conchita, I would have said, either you lighten the fuck up or we're done. I cannot vibe all of this negative energy. If I were Casares, I would have asked Jacinto, why are you so dead set on punishing boys for getting water at night? Aren't we in a war right now? Aren't there bigger issues to worry about? Also, why does our tap water taste like dead kid? Hi, Cecil.
Hi, Jeffrey.
Did you ever get busted for sneaking out at night?
Never got busted. No, I think there was like at least once that like me and my brother and a couple like we had a slumber party and we did sneak out, but we made it back. We did not get busted. No.
Okay.
No, we were sneaky, super sneaky.
Think it was in sixth grade when I spent the night at my friend Nick's house and we snuck out through his window
Oh.
and went to go. He had a girlfriend who lived a few blocks over, so we went and like just like talk to her through her window, her bedroom window. Like
Love
it
it.
wasn't anything super seedy. It's just like
You just wanted to say
you
hi.
wanted to say hi and sneak out and be like, oh, we're doing bad things. The thing is, we got caught because you can't really put the screen back on really well.
Yeah.
So
It's also like I feel like
mom
getting
noticed.
down out of second story window.
First
Oh,
floor.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, getting out is usually easier than getting back in.
Yeah.
Or at least it makes less noise. Respect.
Yes. 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 Um, it's been a hot minute since I have seen this movie. I think I
Yeah,
mentioned last
same.
week, the last time I saw it was when Netflix was for DVDs.
Yes. Oh, I miss those days.
Mm,
I
what
mean,
good
not
times.
really, because you would wait like a week and a half to get a DVD and then it'd be scratched, and you're like, screw you, Netflix.
Right. Right.
But they had everything, and they didn't just push their latest bullshit TV show on you that's going to take 3 years to make a sequel to.
I realized that I had like I think it was like in 2006, Blockbuster was still happening
Hmm.
a little bit, and I started using Blockbuster again because my problem with
Yeah.
because one, there was one
Yeah.
right next to my apartment in
Yeah.
Queens, and it also forced me to like go and like look at the videos and then pick
Uh-huh.
one and take it home and then bring it, take it back because
Sure.
and there was also the threat of late fees. And so I
Yeah.
was really good about returning them, getting a new thing. With
Yeah.
Netflix, they would just like
Yeah.
sit there. There
They would
wasn't
pile
late
up.
fees, but they would pile up and you'd be like, what am I paying for? I'm not actually sending these
I
movies
always had
back.
3 Netflix DVDs going at a time. And it was always like one of them was in constant rotation, but there was always those two that'd be like, man, am I really going to watch this? There's always
Yeah.
another day.
Yep.
And then finally be like, Jesus Christ, just watch it or send it back.
So this movie opens with a voiceover.
Yeah.
What is a ghost?
What is a ghost?
A tragedy condemned to repeat itself time and again? Something dead which still seems alive, an emotion suspended
Mm.
in time, like a blurred photograph? Like an insect trapped in amber? I mean, I guess. Yeah.
All the above?
Sure. Yes. Yes to all of those things. I mean,
Yes. D? All the above?
in this movie, like a ghost is kind of like a superhero buddy that helps you out, right? Like
Yeah.
it's a little bit like it's an injustice left
Yes.
unresolved.
It's the unsolved mystery ghost,
Yeah.
which is, like a pretty classic, definition of ghost is that like I feel like this movie, I think, Del Toro has kind of said that this movie is like very influenced by the kind of Japanese ghost story, so like the white-faced ghost, the sort of Juon, the ring, that sort of
Yeah.
thing. So the idea is that there's a tragedy that happens that's so terrible
Hmm.
that it leaves like a rift in time and space, and that this ghost is going to haunt this time, this place, or this place until something happens that somebody, I don't know, sees their struggle and buries their bones or says, "Oh my gosh, that sucks.
Yeah.
I see your pain."
Yeah. Well, they we get a cut back to a shot from inside a bomber
Yeah, dropping
and
bombs.
dropping bombs. And then the next shot we see is a kid lying on the
Yeah.
ground with bleeding from
His
his
head cut
head.
open, and another kid kind of touches it and goes,
Uh-huh.
"Oh no." And then somebody wraps a rope with a cinder block around that kid's legs and puts that kid into some water.
Uh-huh.
There's murder afoot, Jeffrey.
As this movie went on, I had to like do some Google searching as to like what is this? I mean, I just didn't know, but like what is this like swimming pool in the basement of this school? And
That's
it's like
what did you find?
it's
Because
a cistern.
oh, okay. Yeah, it's like a little reservoir, or it's like
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, it's a place where like a cistern could either
it's a
be
little gray water.
it's gray water. It's basically used for supplying water to the toilets and things
Flushing
like that.
toilets.
Yeah.
Yeah. Feeding the livestock,
Yeah, I
washing
don't think this
cars.
was connected to their tap water. I don't think you want
No,
like an
probably
open
not a good idea.
I don't think you want that big open area if
Tastes
that's
like
going to be your tap.
slugs and dead kids and E. coli.
Ugh. So we get credits. Everything's kind of floating in fluid. This is so like we were still going pretty hard into like a credit sequence in
Yeah.
2001.
Yeah, we were. Yeah, like this is very like, and it's thematically, I like the credits
Hmm.
because we're going to kind of get into this like we're floating in this amber fluid, the limbo fluid,
Hmm.
looking at creepy fetus head baby faces and
Hmm.
amber fluid.
Spiced rum is what I call it.
Hmm. Jeffrey,
Uh,
I know you're an armchair mixologist.
hmm. I'd give it a go.
Are you serving the limbo fluid at the
All,
next house party?
all I could think was like the whole trend a couple years ago was in fat washing alcohol,
Uh-huh.
which is where you put, you could
Yeah,
like
like
duck fat wash a cognac, put
sure.
duck fat into cognac, freeze it, take the fat out. Now you've got like a duck flavored cognac. It's really
Yeah.
beautiful. I was like, oh, we can
Baby wash.
baby wash this Captain
Excuse
Morgan's.
me. Yes, I was gonna say. Has this rum been baby washed? 50 year baby wash? Delicious. Oh, and it'll cure impotency.
Yeah.
Even better.
I do bet it tastes better than Sailor Jerry's, though.
I've never even heard of Sailor Jerry's.
Isn't that the spell? I'm just gonna make sure
Sailor
that's
Jerry's spiced rum? That sounds right.
yeah.
That sounds right.
Yeah. Sailor Jerry spiced rum, that's a thing, right? I got that right?
That
Yeah,
sounds
yeah,
about
yeah.
right.
Okay, great. Oh, it's just Sailor Jerry.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
Okay.
okay. That's why you hadn't heard of it, because I added the S at the end. Okay, so we after the credits, we've got this old-timey car coming in. We are
Yeah.
in the time of the Spanish Civil War. We are in the
Yep.
early kind of World War II, pre-World
Yeah.
War II era.
Yeah.
We've got,
1930s.
yeah. Uh Franco, the
Yep.
nationalist
Yeah.
fascist regime is
They're
trying to
like,
take power.
yep. And the Republicans are like, we can't let that happen,
No.
but we're doing the best we can, but it's
Mm-hmm.
not going well.
Mm-hmm. How come in other countries Republicans are the good guys?
You know,
So I don't know. Who
it
even
flip,
knows?
it's hard. It's hard. Allies are hard to make and even harder to depend upon sometimes.
So this car arrives out in the desert. It's interesting, this shot, because we just see empty kind of desert mountains in the
Yeah.
distance, this car just kind of stopping. And it takes a bit before we actually see that they're in front of the orphanage,
Yeah.
which I think is a really interesting shot because these two men get out of the car. They're meeting a couple of other guys at a truck and they have a kid with them.
Yeah.
And they're arriving at this school orphanage, which is, or this orphanage, which is an orphanage, but it's also kind of a place where we have some money and some things in order to
Yeah, this is,
transfer
some
to the
information and, maybe some gold and,
yeah.
some guns and,
Uh-huh.
just it's the rebellion
Yes.
stuff,
Yeah.
typical rebel stuff.
Yeah, we're fighting the evil empire here, and
Yeah.
so we've got to have a station for these soldiers to come collect their things and share info and get some gold. Also, in the middle of this courtyard is just a bomb sitting almost vertically in the middle of
Yeah,
it. Apparently, it's been defused,
I know.
what we are
But it,
told.
yeah, but it kind of makes like a weird sort of noise if you listen to it real close. Like if you put your ear up to a bomb,
Hmm.
apparently you can hear a clicking noise.
Yep.
I think this
So,
is a perfect metaphor for this movie. It's like, I mean, like this whole idea that this bomb landed on the same day that this kid Santi disappeared and turned
yes.
into a ghost.
Yes.
So it's like the specter of war is hanging over this orphanage.
Hmm.
A literal specter is
Yeah.
hanging out underneath this orphanage.
Uh-huh.
Like, what a great sort of visualization of like you're living with the war every day. Look, there
Yeah.
it is. It's in the middle of your courtyard.
Yeah. These two guys are Ayala and Dominguez that are bringing this boy Carlos up to this school. Now, the thing is, Ayala and Dominguez are also in the war. They're in the war.
Mhm.
They also are friends with this boy's father who has died in the
Yeah.
war, and they have not told him
Yeah.
yet. And they are bringing him to the orphanage, one, because they need to get money and guns and share info, but also they're like, hey, can we drop this kid off because his dad be dead?
Yeah. And we realized that this is the orphanage where like pretty much all the kids at this orphanage, all the boys at this orphanage are like the sons of fallen soldiers.
Uh-huh.
Now, Jeffrey, I'm going to say this kind of makes me a little bit mad
Mm-hmm.
because there's a lot happens in this movie. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, Guillermo del Toro he's a maximalist. He likes a lot of shit going on all the time.
Mm-hmm.
But nobody ever like we make a big deal about this thing with Carlos and his dad, and they're like, "Oh, you're going to be staying here for a while. Don't worry about your dad." Ha ha ha. And we never circle back to it.
I felt like it was left on the cutting room floor.
Yeah,
I think it was I think that was the deal,
yeah,
basically. Um
because like when Carlos is going around, he's kind of meeting the other orphans, and he's very, he meets some friendly ones that are like, "Hey, you seem nice.
Uh-huh.
Look, here's my box of treasures. Do you want to look at a slug and a little doodads and knickknacks?" They're like, "Cool." And then he meets the bad ones that are like, "Hey, give me your doodads and knickknacks. Give me, or else I'll beat you up."
Yeah.
But his whole thing is he's like, "Oh, don't, I'm not going to be here long. My dad's going to come pick me up. Listen, I'm just stopping through." And of course, these two guys who dropped him off, literally, they pick up their supplies and they just get back in the truck. They don't even say goodbye. They just dump his suitcase off and they just drive the fuck away.
Yeah. Which is interesting because like there's right here at the beginning and at the end, there's two moments where somebody gets left behind by the people they thought were their allies. And in the
Yeah.
beginning, Ayala and Dominguez are hiding information from this boy, and then they take off. At the end, it's going to be Pig and what's his head, the
Mm-hmm.
allies
Mm-hmm.
of Jacinto,
Oh,
who
yeah. Yeah.
determine you're unstable, dude. We
Yeah.
cannot.
You're like, not worth it.
Yeah. So we're gonna meet Dr. Casares
Yep.
and Carmen,
Yep.
who run the orphanage. Carmen has a pretty badass looking wooden leg.
Steampunk almost.
Very, yes, yes.
Just shy of steampunk leg.
Uh-huh. And yeah, Carmen's a little bit reluctant to have another child here
Yeah.
at the orphanage because she's got all of this. It's so interesting. She has all of this gold. She's got all these ingots. I
Yeah.
mean, she's like, we only have like five left, but
It's
she
like
can't
10.
even.
There's like 10 of
Oh,
them.
10. Yeah, they have.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They have a bit of gold, but
she can't spend it.
yeah. Because one, which is crazy because one, that would mean that you can't just like walk into the nearest village and be like, boom, here's a gold ingot, because they'd be
Yeah.
like, you're part of the rebellion.
Yep.
And two, that gold is meant to be helping the rebellion,
Yeah.
troops,
Uh-huh.
you know, things, things that they need, not necessarily, you know, buying food for orphans.
Right. Yeah, I find that really fascinating. So like it seems like they're rich,
Yeah.
but they're not quite.
Yeah. They're like in an impossible spot.
Yeah. And really I think why she can't really handle another child is just staffing, right? Because
Yeah.
it's her,
Yep.
there's Conchita,
Yep.
Jacinto, Dr. Casares, and Alma, is that her name? I forget
Think
the other.
so.
Yeah.
Yeah. The one with glasses.
Yeah. But they she finally uh she finally agrees. I'm just gonna take this boy
Oh,
on.
yeah,
She
clearly.
can't not do this. All right, so let's meet the boys who work here
Okay.
or live here. Sorry, it's primarily the main kid we're gonna meet is Jaime. He's the
Oh,
tall,
Jaime.
lanky bully who
Yep.
has the little team of rebels with him, little team of mini bullies
He's a
with
little
him.
bit older.
Hmm.
He's a
This
little,
is also the boy we saw crying over the dead kid in the beginning.
yes. Although I didn't clock that because I was like a whirl in the sort of artistic opening shots of like,
Uh,
what the fuck is going on?
well, Carlos is a little confident here because he feels like, well, he's a rich kid. He's got a little jacket on.
Yeah,
Ayala is his tutor.
I know.
So that's who he's been learning from. And he's like, oh, well, I'm not going to be here long with you orphans.
Poo poo poo.
So when Jaime starts in on him, he's like, all right, we'll fight, motherfucker.
Hmm.
And the next thing he knows, he sees Ayala walk out there, set his suitcase down, get in the car, and take off.
They just drive away.
Yeah. That makes me very, very sad.
Yeah. That just made, see, that's funny. It makes you sad. It makes me angry.
Yeah, it made me angry
I was
too.
like, you're just going to walk away? It's
Yeah.
like, yeah, let's not have the hard conversation. You know what? Bye. Not even a
That's
goodbye. Just a, nah. You want to
That's
see you.
cowardice, my friend,
Yeah.
to not be able to tell this child
I
what's
think that's
happening.
the thing is like, in this movie, there's definitely that kind of the inability to look the innocent child in the eye and own up to yourself, to own
Yeah.
up to your own morality and tell the truth
Yeah.
to the innocent kid is kind of a thing here.
Yeah, I think how speaking up is a recurring theme, and also like what you're willing to fight for.
Sure.
And these guys, to some extent, are gonna get this kid into an orphanage to protect him.
Sure.
They're not willing to like fight for, not willing to like actually talk to him like a human being,
Right.
like a
Because
child.
they have adult things to do.
Yeah,
They're worried about adult things.
yeah,
But kid things, they're like, we got the kid here. That's all we're going to do. Because we
yeah,
promised his dead dad we would do something with this kid.
yeah. And so while these men are brave in war, because we're gonna see one of them get executed in the
Oh,
city
yeah.
street, like, and he knew that that was a possibility. But he's afraid of talking to a
Yeah.
child.
Yeah. I love pretty soon after this, Carmen has like when they're like, hey, there's another kid. Carmen has this interesting thing about, I think, her ex-husband, who's very much like sounded like a freedom fighter, very front lines, a lot of big ideals. And she's like, hey, where did those big ideals get him?
Uh-huh.
Because he is dead and I'm still here. And I'm the one having to like actually deal with the shit on the ground.
Yeah.
And actually, like high minded ideals will get you killed.
Yeah.
And then other people just have to kind of clean up your mess and keep people fed, keep the lights on, fix the chicken coop, put gas in the car.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, fucking get him, girl. Tell him.
Yeah, and that was kind of what I was thinking about in my intro, because it is one thing to like engage in some type, even on as low a level as just two people arguing over some political or sports topic or whatever. Like, where does that really get us? Like, where have we gone? Sometimes it gets you in good in a good place, but a lot of times, we're just all trying to get through our days here.
It's a fun little adrenaline rush,
I guess so.
little adrenaline spike.
But you get all the way up to war, it's like it sounds great to be a freedom fighter. It sounds great to like stand up and fight for what you believe
Yeah,
in to protect your country. But you also got children and
yeah,
spouses and
yeah,
families that
yeah,
might be more who knows? It's a really tough philosophical question, I
isn't it?
guess. Okay, so let's talk about, oh, also I should mention that when Carmen gets him settled, when she gets Carlos settled, he's given bed number 12, which is also he's going to be told by Jaime and the boys that was Santi's bed.
Yeah,
Side eye him.
yeah.
Well, let's meet Jacinto and Conchita.
Oh, these two. So
Well,
young,
so
so
young.
so attractive.
They're both so attractive, so pretty, so young,
Jacinto, so evil.
so evil.
Like, and here's the thing. Over the course of this movie, Jacinto's story is really interesting because he's clearly a product of this orphanage. And it's like he grew up in this orphanage.
Hmm.
He stuck around. And now he's the caretaker of this orphanage.
Hmm.
And you get the impression it's not because he wants to be, it's because he just never really took the like he never flew the coop. He never like just stepped outside the walls, right?
Yeah,
And that just really made him like kind of bitter and angry on the inside that he never took that leap.
I agree. He is also like from the philosophical thing we were just talking about, which is go fight in the war at risk of death and leaving
Yeah,
your
yeah, yeah.
everyone behind, or stay at home and build something really good
Yeah.
and grow it. Now you're not fighting for your country, but you're also like nourishing your garden. You're nourishing your family. He's this middle ground where he can't do either.
Yeah.
And he sort of makes this argument that like he wants to get out, He
Right.
mentions they're going to go to Granada and
Yeah.
buy a farm.
Yeah. To the two freedom fighters, they're like, Granada, you're fucking gonna go to Granada. It sounds like nice dream, dude. Okay, good luck.
Yeah. Yeah, and so there's a part of him where it's like, I guess you're looking at building a family with Conchita, but he is so trapped by his past. He's so angry about his lack of a father, his
Yeah.
growing up in this orphanage, his inability to get out. And so he tells her, and thus us, my whole dream was always to get rich and to burn this place down.
Damn.
And the
Right.
way to get rich is what he's dealing with his two kind of scavenger friends, Pig and what's his head. We're gonna rob the orphanage of this gold.
Yeah. That's not
Uh-huh.
good.
No.
And the
Um,
way he's going about doing it, that's bad enough. So he's
yes.
already kind of a scumbag.
Yeah.
But the way he's doing it, even more despicable.
Mm-hmm. So the first night at this orphanage, Carlos sees shadow of a person behind the curtain and he
I love this.
so
Spooky.
good.
Okay, we've hit the spooky part of
Spooky.
this movie.
We did already see a moment, I guess, earlier in the day where he had seen the
Yeah, he
boy
kind of
in
sees
the
like a
window.
boy in a shadow in the
Yeah.
kitchen.
Mm-hmm.
But this is like now we're into ghost story territory here.
Yeah. But when he opens that curtain, that there's no one standing outside of his bed. And then the bed pots and the bed pans and the water jugs, the ewers start crashing down, and it spills water all over the floor.
There's like little kid footprints in them.
Little kid footprints just mysteriously appear in them. Well, Jaime wakes up and it's like, now you spilled our water.
The new boy is just fucking shit up on night one.
Yep. And it's like, you're gonna have to go to the kitchen to get more water. It's like, what are you scared? And he's like, I'm not scared if you're not scared. Why don't we both go together? So they do. And they go to the kitchen. They're obviously scared of getting in trouble, is what they're scared
Sure.
of.
Yeah.
We will learn why later, but to say nothing of the fact that Jacinto is very scary,
Yes.
and Jaime knows how scary he is.
Sure.
So, gotta squeeze in through the kitchen, even though it's locked with a very
Mhm.
loose chain lock, but wide enough so that any human could get into that
I
door.
know.
But they managed to slip back out, but Carlos, while he's filling his jug, the like the bar holding all like the kitchen utensils, the knives and the scissors just collapses.
Uh-oh. Makes all this noise.
So much noise.
Jacinto's on it.
Mm-hmm.
Grabs his shotgun.
Oh,
Carlos has to hide in like a bread oven or something like that.
yeah. Also, like, Sento, you have been through this before of knowing that like boys are in that kitchen late at night. Like you're gonna go
Yeah.
there with it. Like, who do you think has broken in?
Yeah.
Um, but Sento uses this time when he goes in there, he can't find anybody. So he's like, well, might as well use these keys I've stolen to see if the secret wall safe in the kitchen, if they open that thing, which they don't. But he does hear oh, I'm sorry, he does not. Carlos hears
Yes.
some shit happening after
He sees
Jacinto
like a
leaves.
shadow on the wall
Hmm.
coming from downstairs. Gets all scared. There's a really intense sequence. He's trying, like, he can't, because like Jacinto has like relatched the chain a little bit tighter this time.
Yep.
So he's got to like shimmy through and he can't quite get it. The ghost is
Hmm.
coming. But he manages to get out.
Yes.
All is good. He's cool. Didn't have to see the ghost, didn't have to interact with the ghost. All good. And he manages
Yes.
through the courtyard. But these fucking assholes.
These kids.
Here's the thing.
Yes.
I know they're kids. And they're sitting like there's like the three, troublemaking orphans are sitting up in the window and they've got their little slingshots like orphans do, like little troublemakers. And they like slingshot the pitcher which makes all this noise,
Uh-huh.
which makes Jacinto come out, grabs Carlos. He's like, "What the fuck are you doing out here?
Yeah.
Who are you with?"
Yeah. So yeah, we get into this whole like tribunal the next day with Casares asking Carlos in front of everyone in the group of all the kids, who were you with last night? I was alone. And then as Carlos is walking back to the table, Casares turns to Carmen and is like, the first people that look at him when he walks back,
Yeah.
those are his cohorts. And all four of those boys look right at him.
They're like, boom, boom, boom.
And now they're all in trouble. And I'm like, that is some pseudo-scientific police work, Dr.
I
Casares.
mean, it's a might listen. It's good enough psychological rationale as anything.
I guess so. And I guess if you're a child, you really don't get true justice all the
No,
time, you know?
no,
Uh, you know,
no. I do like this idea that Carlos is like like you said, Carlos draws a line to say he's like, I'm not good, even though they're bullies, and even though they did me dirty, I'm not gonna rat them out.
right,
Which is like, kind of like this is the morality that we're working with here. Of like,
right.
if you get in trouble, yes, you could be like, those three over there, they were the ones who told me to do me dirty, but that's just going to sort of the pointing fingers, and then they get mad at me, and then I get my, that just goes back and forth, back and forth.
Yeah,
But Carlos is like kind of presented as the sort of the more like, no, I'm going to take one for listen, nope, it was just me.
yeah. And he knows that it's probably like even for whatever his upbringing was, he knows well enough that you just don't snitch. It
Yeah,
is
yeah,
just one of the biggest rules you can, and that's part of how we protect ourselves, especially if you are a vulnerable population like
mhm,
orphaned kids in a war,
yeah,
and or whether or not you're a marginalized citizen, like that's the way in which you close ranks to keep the police from breaking you
yeah,
all down. Um, but also it's kind of also a thing that gets people in trouble a little bit too, because that's how Jacinto is allowed to kind of keep existing in
yeah.
this space. Okay, so Carlos the next day is back in like it's daytime, and he's sitting by that cistern in the basement. He collects slugs, that's a thing that we
Sure.
know about him.
Why not?
And Jaime shows up and draws a knife on Carlos.
I'm telling you, Jaime, you're not winning any points here.
No, he's still trying to bully this kid. He's still trying to bully the new kid. And Carlos grabs something. I didn't clock what it was, and just whips it like a
Yeah.
fucking frisbee right into Jaime's face, knocks him into the water.
And all of his little friends are like, oh no, Jaime can't swim.
Jaime
So now
also went
Carlos,
unconscious, just drifting into this
yeah.
water too.
So like, even though the kid just pulled a knife on him a moment ago, now he's got to go save his life. High maintenance.
That's what Jaime is short for.
High maintenance. But he manages to like swim down, find him in the murky ass, gross ass water.
Yeah. And he pulls him out, and now Jacinto shows up, irate at these fucking kids, also finds the knife and is like, whose is this? And Carlos is like, that's mine. So,
Again, Carlos trying to be all noble.
yeah. And, you know, he's gotta, I don't know why we have to earn Jaime's respect, but
I
I
don't
guess
know.
we do.
Yeah.
And, Jacinto, after these kids leave, keeps Carlos back, and he takes that knife and he cuts like a little 1 inch slash on
I
his
don't
cheek.
Which, okay, no, this makes total sense as the movie goes on. Why? Like this, like for like once we learn like Jacinto's sort of psychology,
Hmm.
this makes sense. But logically, I was like, what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah.
Because literally the line is, if any of you all get in trouble, it's on me.
Yeah.
And he cuts him.
Uh-huh.
I was like, and then the next shot is Carlos having to go to Dr. Casares And I'm like, isn't he? How's he going to explain this?
Yeah.
Like, oh, I tripped and fell onto a shard of glass or
Yeah.
something. Like, so Jacinto, you're just making trouble for yourself, much in the same way that Jaime, the momentary, like, oh, we're going to slingshot Carlos's little water jug out in the thing. It's a momentary spike of adrenaline to be like, ha ha ha, I got you. You're just making more trouble for yourself.
Yeah.
If you
Yeah.
had just been like, get the fuck out of here, kid,
You
and then
were,
let it be.
yeah.
But you know what? That doesn't make for an interesting movie.
No, it makes for I have to admit, I was very irritated with the movie for this through line because it is, you know how I feel about movies where it's like nobody is like, I know we need people keeping secrets or
Yeah.
hiding things, or we
Hmm.
need misunderstandings to make a movie work. Like if everybody was fully communicative and in touch with their feelings, it would be super boring.
Yeah.
But I felt this movie like tips so hard in this early part toward that. I really was having a moment in the first act of this film, the first third of this, with like, you guys just fucking get on with it. Like, I need, let's get to the action, but this like hiding shit
Yeah.
under threat of shit was driving me crazy. I mean, part of the reason he can't, or the main reason he can't say anything to Dr. Casares about what Jacinto did is because Jacinto said, if I find out you said any word about this, I will cut you in half.
Yeah.
So there's always going to be retribution
Yeah.
for ratting anyone out.
Which is that's the fascist motto,
Yep.
isn't it?
Yep. Yeah, you have to make people afraid of you is basically it. You have to be afraid that there will be repercussions if you have any critique of what they do.
The physical, like physical violent repercussions.
Physical violent. Yeah. So Carlos asks Dr. Casares if he believes in ghosts. He's like, I'm more of a science guy. Spain and Europe are pretty superstitious these days. I mean, war will make you believe some crazy shit. And then
Check
he
out what I
shows,
got over here.
yeah, I have the title. One, I have the title of our film.
Oh,
And
fun.
two, I have kind of a visual, I have a symbol, maybe a metaphor,
Oh.
a theme for the movie. So, all of you writing papers on this film for
Uh-huh.
your college courses, here it is right here. Just
Okay.
concentrate on this scene.
Uh-huh. Pencil sharpened, ready to go. Please tell me more.
So he's got a bunch of dead babies in jars
Yeah.
or fetuses in jars in some cases. I guess these are all like unborn.
They look fetal.
They look fetal, unborn children. They're not babies. They are feti, fetuses, fetopodes, and
Feetables.
vevals.
Lunchables.
Oh, excuse me. So he shows him one particular fetus in this jar, wherein the backbone, the actual spine, is outside of the skin itself.
Spina bifida.
Yeah. And he says they call this the devil's backbone. And oftentimes, it is a child that should not be born, is the phrase used.
Yeah.
And he says,
But
it's
that's
not,
crazy. That's superstition.
yeah, he's like, it's just something that comes out of disease and poverty. Like this happens a lot in
Yeah.
areas where they can't get, he's basically saying in areas where you can't get medical care, you're more likely to have a child that does not survive or
Yeah.
has bad medical
Yeah.
conditions.
You're going to have more shit like this happen
Yeah.
and probably less education.
Hmm.
So you're going to be like, I don't know, it's the devil.
Yes. Then he's,
And
then
hey,
he's,
do you know what it's floating in? The
it's
fact that
usually
he's
like
telling this
made
to a
with
fucking
spices and whatever to preserve.
and
You can
rum,
preserve it in alcohol. In this case, it is spices and rum
like
that
cloves and
hmm.
cinnamon and
Hmm.
maybe some ginger,
Sure. Oh, that sounds
maybe
nice.
some
Maybe a
cardamom
yeah,
and
a couple cardamom pods. That'd be
yeah.
nice. I love it. Yeah, why not just let's get some cayenne, some black pepper in there as
This
well?
is this like a Christmas wassail?
I think so. I think so. This is very like, oh, we can
but
we
made
can.
with actual baby Jesus.
Hmm.
Oh my God. Can you imagine? You have like a little baby Jesus inside like a big thing and you just ladle it out. You're like, the blood of Christ, the body of Christ, the blood of Christ.
He says, I actually bottle this fluid and sell it in town. And he actually spoons a little out into a shot glass. He's like, hey, you want to try some? Carlos is like, peace
Oh,
out.
I gotta go. I'm a minor. You shouldn't be offering me alcohol. That's crazy, mister.
I have a lot of questions about how Dr. Casares runs his school for unhomed boys.
I mean, okay, here's the thing. Dr. Casares is the cool teacher,
He
right?
is. Yes.
Like, what he's doing is like he knows Carlos is new. He knows Carlos is like trying to like test some boundaries. He's talking about ghosts. He's getting in trouble with the other boys. And so Dr. Casares is trying to like give him a little bit of special treatment,
Yeah.
but also trying to like, like he's telling him about, which I think is interesting. He's saying like, I go to, even though I'm a man of science, I go to the village who these yahoos, they all believe in devil juice,
Yeah.
magic potion juice. So who's to say whether I'm right, they're right, they're buying it, their money's still gold.
Yeah.
So I don't know. You want to believe in ghosts? You can believe in ghosts.
Hmm. So we've got a bunch of stuff with these kids late at night, hanging out. They've got it's almost like a prison scene wherein they're like
Yeah.
trading shit with each other.
I do like that they've kind of like chilled on Carlos by this point.
Yes.
That they wake him up and he's like, and they're like, no, no, we're not going to hurt you. Listen, we just want to read your comics.
Yeah.
Like, can we just read them? And he's
Hmm.
like, oh, that's all you do is ask.
Yeah.
Duh.
And yeah, so Jaime's got some stolen cigarettes he's smoking, and
Yeah.
we learn here that Jaime likes to draw.
Hmm.
I would say to Jaime, keep at it if you love it. Definitely keep at it a lot more.
Yeah.
Um, I'm not
Practice makes
sure how
perfect.
bright your future is, but I'm glad you like
Practice,
doing it.
practice, practice.
He he's trying to like trade this drawing of a naked woman for one of Carlos's comic
Hmm.
books, and they're
Hmm.
all looking at this picture and they're like, "You drew her vagina sideways."
It looks like a mouth.
Uh-huh.
I've got a movie called Teeth that you might enjoy.
Uh-huh. And Jaime says he wants to be a comic book artist when he gets older, and he's
Cool.
regularly sketching shit in his little sketchbook, which we'll come to that later. Okay, now what else is going on at night? Carmen be getting laid, but
Oh,
it's
that's
not
what.
my
Oh,
yeah.
oh, I thought we were talking about the ghost breathing.
Oh no, not yet.
Oh,
No, this
sorry.
is
Oh, the
this
other
is
heavy breathing.
the other heavy
I'm
breathing.
sorry. We have a heavy breather on the call. Caller one, you're on the line. I'm sorry, caller two, you're on the line. Okay, wow. Everybody's either getting laid or is a ghost at this orphanage.
Hmm. Well, it's Carmen. She is catching some D from Jacinto,
Right? And
which
apparently she's been catching D from Jacinto for a while.
yeah. And you know, get you some of that action, I suppose. Hopefully only since his
I
adulthood
mean,
Carmen.
sure.
Yeah.
Eh,
Yeah. So, but yeah, she's whatever. Like she's fucking a colleague. She's fucking the groundskeeper.
yeah.
He's very young, very attractive. He is engaged
Conchita.
to
I was
one
like,
of your other employees, so that's a bit of a problem.
that's a bit weird. And also, Dr. Casarius is very clearly in love with you,
Yes.
Armin,
Uh-huh.
and legit lives on the other side of that wall, Carmen.
Uh-huh.
But you know what? You're in the middle of nowhere. Y'all gonna make your own decisions. You're all adults.
Yep.
Stir the pot, I guess. But Jacinto has some ulterior motives to throw around that D.
Yeah. So the reason he is fucking her is he uses this time to take a couple keys off her key ring and replace it with the ones he took last time. Because he's just testing out which fucking key opens that safe full
So
of
like
gold.
one fuck at a time.
Yeah.
He takes the key, tries the key,
Yeah.
replaces the key, fucks Carmen, takes the key,
Uh-huh.
tries the key, replaces the key.
Yeah. So that's what's happening with Jacinto. So if we were just like, well, he's gone from dick to evil now because he
Yeah,
really is going to try and rob an orphanage too.
right. Because
Yeah.
like, okay, so he's trying to rob an orphanage of their gold. He's bullying small children, and like he's also
Mhm.
like fucking an older woman to like get this is
He's cheating
Jacinto.
on his fiance,
She, oh my
all of
God.
this. Yeah.
Like this point, you're like, you're just trash. You're
Yeah.
trash. You're trash.
Um, oh, back with the boys hanging out, there's a moment where they all talk about Santi and they're like,
Yeah.
you know, you're sleeping in his bed, and they all wonder what happened to Santi when the bomb fell because he disappeared that night.
Yeah.
And these boys, all except Jaime, are like, we think maybe he ran away, which is maybe he got
Weird, but
free, but
okay. Maybe
he
maybe
probably
he
got
got
caught.
adopted by a millionaire and is living in a mansion in the sky.
Yeah. Or they were like, well, rich people like to use. They might have caught him. They might have killed him, took his blood because they used that blood to cure tuberculosis.
Sure. Makes sense. And Jaime is very like, there's no such thing as ghosts. I've never seen a ghost, never heard a ghost. I don't hear anything.
Hmm.
Which in a amazing feat of child acting, I'm like, you doth protest too much.
Very much so. The next day, Jacinto and the boys are loading Dr. Casares' rum onto the
Yeah.
truck to drive it into
Time to
town.
drive into town, go trade their goods and also pick up the mail, go do towny stuff. Hey, let's go into town.
Yeah, because
Let's do some
we've
hair. Let's do some heroin. Let's go into town.
because we've learned that the town is a day's walk away,
At least.
at
Yeah.
least. So it's, you know, probably like a hour drive or some shit, but
Yeah.
or if not longer, but
Yeah. It seems like I would say like it's like a day's drive, but it's like a 24-hour walk. Because when Conchita, she's like, if I walk starting now, and if
yeah.
I walk all night long, I might get there by tomorrow.
Hmm. So Jaime he sees Conchita and
Oh, this poor
Jaime has a
13-year-old.
little
He's like, I
he's got
love you.
yeah,
I
he's got
love
the little
you.
paper ring that goes around cigars and it's
Mhm.
like gold colored, and he gives it to Conchita and he's like,
I
you know,
love
that's
you.
not real gold.
But you're so pretty.
And she's like, it's adorable, thank you.
You're so sweet. And
Um
Santos sees all this. He's like, "What you doing?" I like this. This is actually like some really beautiful piece of writing because like you expect Jacinto to like hit Jaime, like be violent toward him or be violent toward Conchita,
mhm,
right? And Jacinto says, "What are you doing?" And Conchita just says, "Kid stuff."
yeah.
And again, I think the theme of this movie is people dismissing the morality of what do you do when faced with children, when
Yeah.
faced with the innocence, when faced with the simple look a kid in the face, be like, are you trying to steal that gold? Yes or no?
Uh-huh.
If yes, then you're an asshole. If no, then you're not. And like,
Yeah.
you know, and Conchita's like, she knows that Jaime totally has a crush on her, but she's not going to crush this little boy's fucking dreams.
No.
She's also not like, she's like, you're my boy, like she's playing it down the line, right?
Yes. Yeah.
She's like, it's kid stuff, don't worry about it. But
Yeah.
she's not trying to get Jacinto riled up, and she's also not like, I don't know. I like this bit, like the way just that little scene played out. I really enjoyed.
Yeah, I liked her a lot in this scene. So that night, Carlos sees Jaime's sketchbooks and he sees drawings in them of Santi, the ghost Santi, like with the blood
Uh-oh.
drifting out
Yeah.
of his head. Um, and he slips out and he wants to go find Santi and confront him. And a couple of times,
I love that he uses the bomb like a fucking Ouija board.
yeah, yeah.
He's like, bomb, bomb, oh bomb, in the middle of the courtyard. If you are really alive, send me a sign. Where is Santi? Santi! And a little ribbon. Like the wind picks up and a little ribbon flies off
Uh-huh.
and heads into the kitchen, which we all fucking knew. Santi's in the fucking kitchen. That's where
Yeah,
he always moved out, man.
yeah. He goes down to the cistern, the kitchen, below the kitchen, and is, trying to confront Santi, but then he just gets too fucking scared.
Yeah. This is another theme with like De Toro films is that like ghosts are just more sad than scary.
Yeah.
Because like Carlos by this point in the movie is like, hey, I don't like I'm scared of you, but I think you have something to tell me.
Uh-huh.
I'm trying to like work. He's trying to like he's pretty scared, but he's like, I'm trying here, scary ghost.
Yeah.
I'm trying to do you want to say something? And this is the first time Santi actually talks to him. And admittedly, what Santi says is not encouraging.
Many of you will die.
Oh, fuck. Well, that's not good. Um, uh, log off?
That's kind of what he does. He just hauls ass. He
He
runs
hauls
away.
ass out of there, but Santi not giving up.
No, Santi keeps following him. Santi's got a cute little skeleton outfit on.
I love this.
That's
This is
super
actually
fun.
some of my favorite shit.
Uh,
Like this reminds me of like early this reminds me of director of Lord of the Rings, whose name is
Peter
now escaping
Jackson.
me. Early Peter Jackson. The idea of like overlaying like a really simple like the simpler the better, just like overlaying a skeleton over
Hmm.
top of Santi.
Yeah.
So simple, but so effective. So he's got like almost like a translucent skeleton blobby body.
Yeah.
Love it.
It's very cool. I really wanted let's get into the part of the show where I just tell you what I wish this movie was, but
Okay.
I really wanted Santi to be scarier. But
Yeah.
I think knowing who he is and what happened to him
Yeah.
right at the get-go,
Yeah.
I just wanted more mystery because I don't feel any. This movie's not scary other than the
No.
horrible actions of Jacinto, the horrible
Oh
actions
no.
of mankind.
Yeah.
But like the horror, the scare, the ghost in the movie is never at one point in time to me at all scary. It's not even
Like
that
this
creepy.
scene is probably the scariest, in which like Carlos is in the broom closet
Yeah.
and Santi's just like jiggling the handle and sort of pokes his eye into the keyhole. That's as close as we get to a jump scare, really.
But because we know Santi's story from the get-go, we don't know the whole story, but we have the general
Yeah.
idea of what happened to him. And there's a kid who died. There was something unjust about it. War, maybe, is unjust. Who knows? But probably murdered. And why? We'll find out. But for me here, I was like, oh, this is just kind of like YA scares, right? Like
Yeah.
this is
Yeah.
more about Carlos being scared than it is
Yeah.
about us, the audience,
Yes,
being
there's a
scared.
character being scared rather than the movie scaring us.
Yeah, and I'm on the other side of the fence of like, oh no, this is a misunderstanding, which
Yeah,
is so much
that's
of what
right.
this movie relies on, which is just people constantly misunderstanding something.
Yeah.
So for me personally, I'm not saying that's a fault of this movie. I'm just saying for me personally and my taste, I'm like, y'all gotta stop this shit. Just
Yeah.
I can't
It's a
handle a
moral
whole
it's
movie about
I mean
this.
it's a morality tale. It's
Yeah,
very much about morals
yeah.
and less about, hey, do you want to see something really scary? Shh, come here, come here. I'm gonna scare the fuck out of you.
Yes, yes. Um, okay, in town, Casares is in town selling his rum, whatever, and then there are nationalist soldiers there.
Yeah.
Uh, the nationalists are there, and they have grabbed a group of
Lining
people.
people up against the wall. They're
Uh,
like, we got some Canadians,
they
we
got a
got some
we got a
Spanish people, we got
Chinese guy.
Chinese guy.
Yeah, and yeah, we've got a couple Canadians, we got a Chinese guy, we got a couple of Spaniards.
Mm-hmm.
We're lining them up. They were fighting for the
The
rebellion,
Republic. Yeah.
basically, and they're going to shoot them one at a time in the back of the head. The film doesn't show the actual
No.
shooting, but you see them put the gun to the head, and then off screen you hear the blast. But one of them is Ayala,
Yep.
and
And he makes
Cazares.
he makes some hard eye contact with Dr. Casares.
Yeah,
And what's even scarier is that some random townie comes up to Dr. Casares is like, hey, they friends of yours?
yeah, and he's gotta ignore that. He
He's like,
can't do anything.
don't know what you're talking about.
Yep,
Never seen that man before in my life.
yep. When he gets back, when Casares gets back, he tells Carmen, we have to leave.
Our cover is blown.
Yes.
We've been made.
Mm-hmm. And
We got to
she's like,
go.
where? And he's like, Marseille?
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't know. Like, there's got to
Maybe
be
we can
some
get to Portugal
France.
or
Yeah.
something. And she's
Um,
like, okay, I've got papers in the safe. We can take the kids with us,
mm-hmm.
but we got to go like today.
Yes. And it's as Carmen is clearing out the safe, Cento is like, where are you going? What about me? She's
Now
like,
this
fuck
is interesting
off.
because it's like I'm assuming they're all going, like the entire operation,
Yeah.
or is it just like Dr. Casari's Carmen? No, I think like everyone is going. Because
Yeah.
Conchita seems like she's helping kids up into the fucking truck. So it
Mm-hmm.
seems like Jacinto, you're
Yeah.
get on the bus.
Yeah. And yeah, he picks the wrong time to flip out because he is like, what are you thinking, dude? Like,
Yeah,
why? I the other thing about his plan, like one, this is totally the wrong move because actually
right.
now the gold is going to be more vulnerable to you at some point in time here
Yeah,
as you're having to move from the orphanage.
I know.
Two, the other big picture thing about his plan that made me crazy is you're the one with the access to the keys. You're the one with the access to, you know where the safe is. Why do you need these two other motherfuckers to help you out? Just
Oh,
their
I know.
car? You just
Yeah,
need the ride? Is that it?
yeah.
Anyways, maybe that's what he's afraid of is like, if we pack up and go someplace else, I've got to get new allies with a car to help me out. But
I mean,
also,
but
you
that's
could steal the fucking car they
I mean
own.
that's the thing is that like his whole thing is that he can't make the move himself. He can
Yeah.
never just do the thing. I mean, it's not always the thing with fascists. Like there's strength in numbers.
Yeah.
They need lackeys. You know,
Yeah.
you need people to be like, hey, I don't want to like beat up everybody
Yeah.
because my arms are going to get tired. So you go beat those people up for me.
Yeah. But yeah, he flips the switch. He shows his true self because he is very
Yes,
clearly about the
wild.
money. And
It's like I want that gold.
she tells him, she's like, of all the orphans, you are always the saddest. You are a prince with no kingdom.
Oof.
And Cazares is standing behind him with shotgun drawn. And like, please leave. And he's like, he says, I'm sorry, I'm just slapped this lamp over here. He's like, I'm the one who has to screw this lady.
Oh,
And I'm like, that's not quite the slam dunk you think it was, my
yeah,
friend.
yeah.
And she fucking clocks him
I know.
hard.
She like with her cane, like, and you can hear it too. This is where like a good sound design because
Uh-huh.
it makes that like thonk sort of sound.
Yeah.
You know, she made contact like right with the bridge of his nose or like
Yeah.
this old hag. Clop.
This is where
Because Carmen ain't taking none of that lip.
no. And he's got a a broken nose and a bloody eye for the rest of this film that he's
Well,
alive
he doesn't
from.
get the bloody eye till after the explosion.
Oh, he does. Okay, okay.
But I want to talk about that in a minute.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
So get the fuck out of here. So he
Yeah.
takes off. Now,
Expelled.
expelled. But we know this is a bad deal because
Mhm.
now we know it's just a matter of time before he comes
It's
back.
trouble. He's
Yeah.
trouble. This plan, they're like, we're like, anytime you go on the run, it's going to be hard anyway.
Yeah.
And now you've just made yourself an enemy who's very violent.
Yeah.
We know this. Y'all might not know this, but violent and devious.
Yeah.
So they're loading all the kids up in the car, and Dr. Scaris is like, okay, Conchita, we need some gas for the journey. She goes into the gas room, which we've already been to,
Uh-huh.
and she notices there's only one gas tank when there were like 10.
Yeah.
And she kind of follows, she like looks out next to the truck, and the truck is leaking gas
Uh-huh.
and follows the trail of gasoline that goes all the way across the courtyard and into the kitchen. And all the fucking gas tanks are sitting in front of the safe.
Yep.
And who's there but Carlos? Oh, no, no. Is Carlos even there yet? Yes, he is. No, no. The door, this is even scary. The door's just like the back door to the orphanage is just kind of open.
Yeah.
And there's like nobody there, which I think is even kind of teasing it out. So she grabs the shotgun and she's like looking around.
Yeah.
Hasito shows up,
Yeah.
starts like, what are you going to do? Shoot me? Huh? Starts menacing her. And she actually kind of gets scared. She doesn't mean to shoot him,
Yeah.
but the shotgun does go off.
Yeah.
And he
Um,
fucking sets that place ablaze.
yeah. And yeah, he throws his cigarette onto the gasoline and she starts getting people out. Meanwhile,
Yeah.
Alma and Carmen are staying behind to try and put out the fire. And this made me so
Oh,
irritated.
poor Alma. Alma,
For
you ain't gonna,
Alma.
like, you can't blow out a gas fire.
And the thing is, why are you protecting the building? Get the
Yeah.
fuck outside.
Yeah.
The building is the building's done. That's
Yeah.
over.
That's
Whether it
lost.
burns
That's
or not.
lost. Yeah. Lost.
And my thing is
Safe distance.
safe distance. If you're gonna stay behind and risk your own life, go get the kids. Run through
Yeah.
the building and
Yeah.
find the kids. Like if you're gonna die while this building explodes, I don't blame you for that, but why are you protecting the kitchen as opposed to get the
Right.
children out? And a bunch of kids are gonna die in this explosion.
And you're certainly not going to do it with a fucking dish towel. I'll tell you that.
It's just it's like
But yeah, no, this was a little
you
silly.
dummies. This is
But
silly.
so dead, boom, explosion, fire,
Mm-hmm.
car, explosion.
Mm-hmm.
Now we've got dead kids in the courtyard. We've got Dr. Casares is waking up in the courtyard. He's got like an earful of blood. He can't hear. And he's like, this very like the war has come home. He's
Yep.
wandering around. There's dead kids over here, the dead kids over there. He goes into the kitchen, dead kids over here, and he does find Carmen, and she's
She's
not doing
fucked.
good.
Nope. And he
He
recites
does
poetry.
does a little poetry slam for her.
Yeah.
That's
Again,
kind of depressing.
I found this interesting, and it's a little bit of like writerly showmanship that's happening here as opposed to just being real. But I think that's kind of the point, which is this is another way in which poetry and performance is another way in which we hide our true selves.
Sure.
And here's a duo that has never told each other they love each
Right.
other, and it's
Of course.
all implied in the
Oh, yeah.
poem that he recites to her is about that kind of eternal love and
Yeah.
whatever else. But it's also not saying,
No.
I've always loved you.
No. But I'll be here with you. I
Yeah.
am here with you until the end.
And
I was
so,
more
yeah.
of the like, because this poem's like, I'm here with you. Your body is broken.
Yeah.
Every single piece of your body feels like shit right now. That finger, that arm, that everything hurts. Your face hurts, your body. I was like, damn, I don't know if you're making this any better for her.
And you'd like stay up all night reciting this fucking shit. Like
I think
I'm
he's
like,
extemporizing it
is he okay?
extemporaneously.
All right,
I mean, I like the spirit of it.
sure,
And then she shuffles off her mortal coil,
yeah.
and he is there, and he's very sad, so sad, so sad.
Just say it. I love you. And I'm here for you always. But yeah, that poem is it's beautiful in the context, or it's beautiful like in the
Yes.
device that we've been given
Well,
here.
because their whole story is like, they must have met years ago when she had a husband. She's always seemed very kind of uptight, perhaps, or at least buttoned up. And he's a man of science, so he's very buttoned up.
Hmm.
And maybe he was in love with her, and then her husband went off to fight in the wars, and they respected each other too much.
Yeah.
And he loves reciting poetry, and she likes listening through the wall, but would never actually admit to having feelings. And he would never admit to having feelings for her.
Uh-huh.
And that's kind of their thing. And I think at one point, even before all the explosions and the dead orphans started flying around the movie screen, he makes this, he's like, she's like, I don't have papers. Like, how are we going to get across the border? He's like, listen, I got you, babe.
Yeah.
Like, this orphanage, it doesn't like, we're going to protect these kids. I'm here with you.
Uh-huh.
We belong together.
Yeah.
Again, not saying I love you, but I got you, babe.
Yeah. Well, Conchita now is like, all right, I'm going to walk
Yeah.
overnight to town. And before she leaves, Jamie comes and offers her a grain of strength, which is the thing she would feed the
Yes.
kids each morning. Um, and then she shows him she still has the cigar ring on her finger
Yeah.
that he gave
She's
her.
like,
Um,
kid stuff. Kid stuff is strong.
yeah, it is so
It's very
strong.
like it's that feel like very Steven Spielberg kind of feels,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
like the like kids bonds or like that Stranger
It's
Things kind of like these are the memories that are gonna we can
yeah,
do it.
it's very from the poem Casares just recited to the return of the cigar ring and the return of grain of strength. Like this very Spielbergy. Like it's Del
Sentiment.
Toro
It's
is
very
really
sentimental.
he's very into the sentimental type of stuff. So, but on the road, she is going to run
She's walked like
into
all night.
yeah, she's gonna run into Jacinto and his shitty friends. It gets like dawn when she
Yeah.
runs into them on the road. And he walks up to her and he's like, say you're sorry and get in the car. I'm not
It's
afraid of
like,
you.
you're a fucking asshole.
Yeah. He says, say you're sorry and get into the car. You're making
They're
me look bad.
watching.
They're
Yeah,
watching.
yeah, they're watching.
And she says, you're an animal. And he takes his knife and jams it into her gut and she drops dead.
Woof.
I'm like, okay, if I'm going to be more disappointed in my guy friends for stabbing their girlfriend than I will for them being not apologized to for their girlfriend. Like if I'm weighing the two things that I'm gonna judge my friend on,
Uh-huh.
if he can't get his girlfriend to apologize to him,
Oh yeah.
that's way
So like you so
less
so you're putting yourself in the like point of view of
of
the
the two
guys sitting in
friends.
the truck.
Yeah.
Okay. And you're like, okay, my friend is gonna go off. Oh shit. Oh yeah, like he got
Yeah.
into this big fight and he got kicked out of his
His
orphanage
house.
job
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
was, this whole thing. Oh, he just stabbed his girlfriend.
Uh-huh. That's I'm gonna have more judgment on my friend if I see him stab his girlfriend than if I watch him not get an apology from her for something he did. So that's basically what I'm saying. Is I'm like, I like that he's like, I'm worried my friends will think I'm a loser if you don't apologize to me.
Yeah.
I'm worried
I
about
feel
that. So
like this
what?
is
I will murder you right in front of
I
them.
would rather murder you
Uh-huh.
in order to maintain my machismo
Hmm.
Then have to go back and like walk back to the car and be like, she broke up with me. She's walking to town to get medical supplies for 10 ailing small children
That I blew up.
that I blew up and we're not helping.
Yeah.
Who's the asshole in this situation?
And to be fair to these two guys, these two boys are not soldiers, they are scavengers.
Yeah,
They are just
opportunists.
small-time criminals.
Mother
However,
courage.
yeah.
I'm
But they are at least going to let all of this is going to build up for them
yeah.
to where like we listen,
He crazy.
he's crazy. Listen, if we can
He's
get the
got the
gold,
gold lust.
if we can, we've gone this far. If we can at least get our part of the gold and just
Right.
move the fuck on from
Don't
him.
just pop on out.
Because when they do get back there and they
Well,
can't
because
find the gold, they're like, you know what? You're fucking nuts. We're out.
it's all theoretical
Yeah.
until you have to kill 10 orphans in a fucking,
Yes.
you know, in a execution style, pogrom
Yeah.
so they don't run out and tell people that you stole the revolution's gold. It's all theoretical till then.
Uh-huh. So back at the orphanage, Jaime he finally says out loud to Carlos,
Yes.
I was with Santi the night he
Oh,
died.
exposition. All right. Wavy lines. Like literally, here we go. Flashback. Let's see. Taking it back to the beginning. What really happened in the
I, th-
opening sequence?
I think Del Toro gets so much better at making movies as time goes on, but this thing is this to me, I'm so cynical about this movie, and I really apologize. There's so much I like about this movie, but the storyline and how it's doled out made me crazy because personal preference, but also we've deliberately just hid information from the audience, which I know is how you do mysteries. That's how
Yeah.
mysteries work. I've written a mystery, and that's how you do it. But also, like, I like that when there's some cleverness or fun in here. And here, this whole thing is like, bitch, you could have said this from the start. And I know that we're talking about why people don't share things
Yeah,
because
but Jeffrey,
right and trauma and
Jeffrey,
whatever else. Uh-huh.
trauma,
I know. I'm like,
trauma,
I never was buying it in this movie.
trauma,
Mm.
trauma.
Hmm. Nobody speaks to anybody in this movie. That's really what it's
No.
about. And
Or
so
they just
finally,
take a long, they do.
they
They
do.
just
It
take
just
a
takes a
while.
while.
It takes a while
Till
to
it's
get there.
too late. Yeah. And
Yeah.
what happened was
Trauma.
Santi was, they were fucking around late at night, he and Santi.
Yep.
They were in the kitchen. Uh, they were in downstairs in the cistern collecting slugs. Santi heard something, snuck upstairs, saw Jacinto trying to open the safe. Jacinto
Okay.
chased him back downstairs and was like, "Do you see the safe? Who's with you? What's going on?" And he pushes Santi so hard that his head slams into this stone column, splits open, and that boy bleeds out.
That's pretty bad.
Jaime stays
But
hidden this whole
that's
time.
pretty bad.
Yes,
But what comes next is worse.
because he ties this boy up with a rope, ties it to a cinder block. This kid is still breathing, by the way. Like,
Yes. See, that's my thing.
that's the
Is
thing.
like, you could, of course, corrected yourself out of this. Be like, oh no, this child is hurt.
Yeah.
Take him to the doctor upstairs.
It's so easy. And I guess that's Jacinto's problem. Like, the reason he just got kicked out of this orphanage was because he did not keep his fucking cool. If you
Yeah.
keep just keep your fucking cool.
Well,
And if
it's
he
keep her
kept his
fucking
cool,
cool. And also, he got caught trying to rob the orphanage of his gold.
yes. So he ties this boy up, still alive, semi-conscious, plunges him into the cistern. The end, he thinks. And Jaime sees the whole thing and just can only just sit there and cry about it, right? He never can say anything because he sees the violence that can come to him. Like, as you said
Yeah.
earlier, fascism
Yeah.
is that you have to have a physical threat and to people. You have to make them scared to critique what you do. Um, but outside in the rain, he's walking back to the dorms, and the bombers are passing overhead, and a bomb lands only feet from Jaime, but does not explode. Got the origin of the
Coincidence?
bomb. Yeah.
Coincidence?
Hmm.
Or metaphor?
And Jaime tells Carlos, I was a coward, but the next time I see Jacinto, I'm going to kill him.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
You will.
Lord of the Flies style.
Hmm. Yeah, I do like his end is really good. Um, well, Casares is sitting up with the shotgun in his chair up on the second floor in his office, just ready for Jacinto to come back. And he knows he is. And he does.
Yeah. This is kind of interesting
Uh-huh.
because, like, Dr. Casares knows that he is dying.
He is.
But what he does is, like, he sets himself up in the window and he's like, boys, bring me the record player. And then he's like, oh, they're coming. So when they drive up, he's like, prop me up in the window
Uh-huh.
just to make a show that I'm still here. Like, we're still guarding the orphanage. Like, we haven't gone, we haven't run away.
Yeah.
So even like honorary show of a nominal show of strength is
Yeah.
better than nothing.
Yeah.
And that's even enough to make Jacinto and his two little lackeys just be like, we'll wait until later.
Yeah. So he Casares promises Jaime will never leave the you boys alone. And I will never leave this place. I'm like, that's true. You won't.
Truth.
Um, the kids are all down. Carlos and the other boys are all gathering rocks in the basement. Like, we gotta have something to arm ourselves. We just have the one shotgun.
Yeah.
Um, but sadly, Jacinto uh sneaks in. And at the same moment, while Jaime is looking out at the car, not seeing any action, he starts noticing flies. And he turns around and the flies are all over Casares. And he dead. And at the same
Casares is
time he
dead.
realizes he's dead, Jacinto is right on top of him.
But not before
Hmm.
he has a conversation with his little ghost friend,
Oh,
who
yeah.
Santi says, bring me Jacinto.
Yes. That's right.
Like at this point, Carlos and Santi are just like chatting like two little
Yes.
buds. He's
Yeah, well,
like,
that Sante has the conversation with Carlos, but not with Jaime. Jaime is the one
oh,
upstairs who gets
oh, yes,
jacked
yes,
by.
sorry.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But yeah, Carlos has before he gets as he's getting those rocks, he runs
Yeah.
into
Carlos is
Sante.
like, Santi,
Uh-huh.
Santi,
Yep.
come to me. What do you want? And Santi is like, just bring me Jacinto.
Yeah.
I'll take care of the rest.
I like his line. He says, I understand. I'm gonna help you.
Yeah.
Again,
Ghost
good
Brigade.
communication. We finally said, what do you
Right?
want? What do you want? What do you need?
Like, check it out.
Hmm.
As a, ghosts are like, that's the thing. Ghosts are scary. But if you're like, hey, what can I do for you?
Uh-huh.
Oh, bring me the person who murdered you? Oh, somebody here who's alive knows who murdered you? Who is that? Oh, Jaime? This dude? Hey, Jaime, why is there a ghost in the building? There's no
Hmm.
ghost. Well, I saw a ghost. Let's talk about this shit. Tell me the story of the ghost. This movie would have been 15 minutes long.
Yes. Yes. Okay, so Jacinto makes all the boys dig in the rubble to get the
Yeah.
safe exposed. And then he and his friends are going to drill into this safe. But while he's doing that, he shows Jaime that cigar ring. He's like, this is yours, is it not?
Oh,
Fucker.
threats.
Then once they get the safe exposed, Jacinto and his two compatriots are hammering away at the safe and they've locked the boys up into this room.
Yeah.
And Jaime is like rallying the troops. He's like, listen, I know this dude. He killed Santi.
Yeah.
Like, this man is ruthless. If you think he's just going to like take what he wants and leave us alone,
Yeah, to
That's
tell
not
the
what's going to
tale.
happen.
Yeah,
Yeah, he is going to kill us. So we fight or we don't. That's where we're at. It's not about whether or not you're a coward. It's
yeah.
about whether or not you know you want to fight before you die.
And Carlos claps back. He's like, "Hey, do you see our friend who literally has shrapnel in his back? He ain't fighting nobody.
Yes.
So what are we gonna do?"
Again, it gets back to the balance of like fight for freedom or take care of your family,
Yeah,
and it's get you a man who can do both, I
yeah.
guess. But that is the
It's
conflict that we're at here, right?
that's what being part of a community is. It can't
Uh-huh.
be all or
Yeah.
one, it can't be all one, all the other. There's
Yeah.
a balance. It's got to be a little bit of everything.
And we have to communicate. This is what we need. This is what has to happen. And then that's how
Yeah.
you find what we can all agree we can do. So they are gonna they start carving sticks into spears.
This gets so Lord of Flies at the
It
end.
does. They take glass
Like
shards
boys
from
with sticks, with pointed sticks will take on these grown men with guns.
uh-huh.
And they're bigger than us. Yes, but there's more of us.
Uh-huh.
Like, I guess so.
Galvez tries to jump down from the window they're at, but he ends up breaking his
I
ankle on the
know.
fall.
Ooh, I hate it when movies do this.
Uh-huh.
But all right.
And then again, if you could have just done something sooner, because it's as they're trying to figure out, well, somebody's got to go and get him and then open the door just opens on its own, and it's very clearly the ghost of Dr. Cazares doing that. I'm like,
Yeah.
where were you like 90 seconds ago when this boy was coming out the window?
Ghosts work on their own schedule.
They do.
He had to go to limbo,
Uh-huh.
get his shot of limbo juice,
Yeah. It's a lot of
and
paperwork
come
down
a
there.
lot of
Yeah.
paperwork, and then come back up.
Yeah.
It's like he could only help out when he really needed to
Yeah.
unlock that door.
So Jacinto and his scumbag friends get that safe open, and there's no gold in there.
Uh-oh. No payoff.
And what they find is a stack of photos of Jacinto as a child, showing his pictures of him with his father and mother. And then the very last picture is of just him by himself, like as a teenager out in the desert. And written on the back from Carmen says, "How lonely the prince without a kingdom."
I didn't get that. Is that Carmen's handwriting?
I think it
Is that
was because I think,
Carmen?
yeah, because Carmen,
Or is that
in,
his? I guess it would be. Not his
it,
parents, because his parents gave him up when he was a baby, right?
I guess so, maybe. I guess Carmen wouldn't have. I mean, Carmen knew he was after the gold, so she stashed it in her secret leg compartment.
Yes. Yeah, that's where the gold is in her. Yeah. But I'm like,
That's
it just seems like what an interesting thing to write. Maybe that's when they started. Maybe that's when she kind of like fell in love with him. When their sort of like affair started when he was like a late teenager,
what
kind of romanticizing.
thought happened. Although this would be real tight with the timeline for this to have happened, but what I interpret they were going for was is that because she knew he was gonna try and get into that safe, the
Yeah.
thought was,
Oh, yeah.
I'm gonna get the gold out. I'm gonna leave him a message.
Oh,
Just remember what life is about. How lonely the prince
gotcha.
without a kingdom. And she was just trying to communicate that to him because she's like, the only person who is going to open this safe now is
Yeah.
going to be that fucking guy.
Gotcha.
That was my impression of what that message was about.
Okay.
That's
But
why
when did
that's
she
why
have
the
time to
photos of
do
Jacinto.
that?
That's the thing. She didn't have
Like,
time to do that, but that has to be what the movie is
yeah,
suggesting. Because there's no other reason for there to be photos of Jacinto in the safe unless she put them in there.
right.
Because that's not stuff you would keep
That
in
makes
a
no,
safe.
yeah.
Yeah. So he is he's this is where he's acting his most like crazy, not evil, most crazy in front of
Yeah.
his friends because he's showing them these photos and these guys are like, "We don't fucking care. We
Yeah.
are here under the promise that we will get paid in gold, and there's no fucking gold. I don't care about what your dad and mom look
Yeah. Yeah.
like."
Yeah.
And he's like, the gold is here. I promise. We just have to look harder. And they're like, cool. We got to go get something out of the truck. We'll be right back.
And they just
They're
drive away.
gone.
Now, I like that this is where he's been marked
Hmm.
with like the red eye. This like
Oh,
after the explosion is
uh-huh.
like he's just gone full, you've been marked.
Yeah. Yeah. He's gone fully crazy. He's gone fully
Yeah.
apeshit here. Um, but he's like, well, if I find the gold, then it's all mine. And he does. He finds Carmen's leg
Yeah.
and he cracks it open and out fall these gold ingots.
Payday.
Uh, this movie varies a lot in how much it thinks gold weighs
Thought the same thing.
because we're gonna watch him take like 10 gold ingots, tie them into little bindles, which he then ties around his waist. Fine, okay. That's a weight that much weight you could have put inside of a false leg. But then later, when he falls in the cistern, it's implied that the gold is what is weighting him down. Okay, that's a different weight of gold to me.
I also think, wouldn't that make your pants fall down?
Yes, yes. And for that latch that opened on the leg, it just kind of comes open when he uh, bops it slightly. Like if you had all that gold inside that leg sloshing around,
Yeah, she's gonna have
that
a
shit's gonna
hard time walking.
fall.
Yeah.
Yeah, none of that made any sense. But he does find the gold. He ties it to his pants, and he's like, "Fuck yeah, I got so much gold. I can walk across this desert, right?"
Yeah, totally. You'll be fine.
But Jaime and Carlos get his attention. They're like, "We're free, motherfucker!" And
Uh-oh.
he can't just leave. He has
No.
to go on the chase.
Yeah.
And he goes on the chase all the way down to the cistern. And does he has the gun, right? At this point, he's got the rifle drawn on
Yeah.
them.
Yeah.
And he's like, what a joke. Like looking at these orphan boys.
Yeah.
Because it's like Carlos and a couple of the others. Well, Jaime had gone out of sight and he comes up right beside Jacinto and
And
takes a
like
spear right
right
into his
into his
armpit.
like armpit.
Oh,
Listen, anybody who's ever had like a tattoo on like that is like that's a bad place. That's a bad place.
uh-huh.
So imagine getting like stabbed underneath your rib cage,
Yeah,
underneath your arm.
yeah. I just remember in Little League getting hit by a pitch one time,
Ooh.
and I had backed up. I was at bat, and I backed up,
Yeah.
and the ball hit me like right below my armpit. It hurt like a
Yeah.
mofo.
Yeah.
Ooh. So he gets speared. They get him surrounded. They all take their spears, just whack,
Like
whack,
fucking
whack, whack.
Brutus,
Yeah,
Brutus style.
and they tump him into the water, and we see him like frantically untying the gold around his waist because that's what's weighing him down.
Oh,
But
metaphor.
but he gets all the gold untied just as Santi shows up in the water, grabs him and pulls him into the deep.
You pissed off the wrong ghost.
That's right.
Now, here's the thing. I think that ghost could have helped a little bit more than he did.
Agreed.
Because when Santi was like, oh, you just bring him to me, I was like, oh shit, here we go. This ghost is gonna fuck him up. Oh no, those kids fucked him up.
The ghost
The-
just finished the job.
yeah.
Yeah. It's basically like he's the pastry chef that all he did was like brush the butter on top of the
He
croissants
just
before
like
they went into the egg
ding.
wash on top of the
Yeah.
croissants before the oven.
The
Meanwhile,
finisher.
all the other guys were like, we have been here since 4 a.m.
That's
making
right.
this fucking dough.
Yes.
Okay, he dead. Carlos takes a moment to go mourn Casare's body. And then these boys walk off. They are
Yeah.
on their own.
They're like they're busted. Like one of them's got a limp, but you know what? They're walking out of there on their own.
They're gonna do it. I I definitely have questions, too numerous to mention, but I did wonder, should you stay there maybe? Because your biggest enemy is dead now.
It's like you need water.
You need water and you need shelter, and
Yeah.
you do have to get this kid to some medical care, I
Yeah.
suppose. But however we did it, this is where we're at. It's wartime. Shit just
Yep.
sucks. And then we hear the opening monologue once again. What is a ghost? Is it a what is it? What was the monologue again? A tragedy
The
condemned to repeat itself time and again?
a fly trapped in amber, a
What?
bird stuck in flypaper.
Uh-huh. What is a ghost? It's a me, a Mario.
It's a me, a Mario.
And we see Dr. Casares.
No, that's King Boo. What's a ghost? King Boo?
And then the ghost of Dr. Casares watches them go. The end.
The end.
Shall we rate this movie?
Yes, let's.
Well, let's start with approachability rating. If you're horror movie averse, a little squeamish about watching horror movies, like how approachable is this movie? On a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being not at all approachable and 10 being easily approachable, I'm gonna give like Devil's Backbone like 8 secret leg panels out of 10. It, I mean, this is if you saw The Shape of Water, this level of horror, right? There's some extreme violence, like that kid's ankle breaking. There's that spear to the underarm. There's some blood in it, things like that. But it's also like the monster isn't scary. It's the people that are scary. There's a classic Del Toro sort of thing happening there. So, and you know that pretty early on. Like the mystery of the ghost is never really present. So you don't even really get scares from the ghost too much. So I think this movie is very approachable, very bloody, child death, a couple of semi-graphic moments of things, but like all in all, I think you can handle it. 8 out of 10. Approachability. Cecil, speak nothing of approachability. How would you rate this just as a horror film?
As a horror film, I like this one as a ghost story. I think it's a
Uh-huh.
pretty intelligent,
Mm-hmm.
interesting ghost story. It's definitely on the, like we said, a very sentimental ghost story. But the ghost is not the scariest thing in the world. It's a
No,
pretty cool looking ghost.
very cute.
Very cute looking ghost. He's a little ghost friend,
Uh-huh.
but not very scary. So for that reason, I would say maybe 6 out of 10 drawings of naked ladies done by a 12-year-old.
Yes. Well, let's figure out what movie we're going to watch next. You've got a scare die. I've got a style die. We will roll those up and see what movie fits that those next two things. So, Cecil, on your scare die, if you roll a 1, our next movie scares animal. 2, a vampire. 3, a wild card. 4, alien. 5, demonic. Or 6, a psycho killer. What's our scare?
2.
Vampire. All right, let's match your vampire to the style that I roll. If I roll a 1, our next movie's got to be based on a book. 2, it's got to have a one-word title. 3, it's got to be a movie with a in a foreign language. 4, a period piece. 5, something from the 2000s. Or 6, a splatter film. Here we go. We got a 4, a period piece about a vampire.
How are we ever going to find one?
How will that even happen? All right, we wrote down quite a few ourselves, but we also have a Letterboxd account. We're at Random Horror 9 on Letterboxd. So check out our lists there, and you will see you'll have a chance to just contribute through comments other movies that we might have missed. So let's I wrote the first few of these down. I mean, honestly, pretty straightforward. Bram Stoker's Dracula, no
Yep.
explanation needed. The original 1931 Dracula movie,
Yeah.
perfect. There's also this really amazing, I think, Austrian film called Vampire, which is
Oh,
a
yeah.
1930s film. It was not well received when it came out, but it's gotten a real following since. It's a really beautiful, like creepily beautiful film.
Oh,
It's got some really cool stuff in it. It's real basic vampire lore sort of thing, but it's
okay.
I think it's really cool.
Sounds classic. Classic.
Uh, we've also got, is this the Shadow of the Vampire? This is the
Yep.
Willem Dafoe movie.
Yes, this is about the making of the movie Nosferatu. And it's one of those that comes and goes in its availability. And I believe right now
Oh, it
It
is
is
back
available.
on Amazon. Yep. It is available for rental on the Prime.
So I thought I would add it to the list.
Thank you. Let's see. What else do we have here? We have got Interview with the Vampire. There you go. Is
Period
that
piece.
that is a pure, they're not present day vampires, right? Like
No, because
what year
it's
does
all
it?
like, back in old New
That's right.
Orleans.
I saw this movie in the theater. I don't remember fuck all about it. Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter.
Sure.
There you go.
I don't know. Sounds kind of silly and fun.
And The Reflecting Skin. I think you put this. I don't know this movie.
This is one that I found in my research that I had never heard of. It
Oh,
apparently was an
yes.
art film
Hmm.
from the 90s. British Canadian, has Viggo Mortensen in it, which is why
Right.
I was like, oh, interesting. Growing up in the 1950s. Okay, so that's your period piece. An 8-year-old and his friends play a prank on town recluse. And when his friends start disappearing, they become convinced that this lady is a vampire.
Oh,
So it kind of sounds like a serious version of um, another film.
okay. Interesting. Philip Ridley is our director. Okay. All right. Interesting. Let's see what people on the Letterboxd had to say and see if they can add some more ideas to our list. I already see at the top, Zara Eve gives us Interview with the Vampire,
Yep,
seconding that.
classic. Max Bird recommends The Vordelak. Oh, I've been
Oh
seeing a lot of
yes.
previews for this, 2023. And Hostile Forest. The Marquis d'Urfé, a noble emissary of the King of France, finds refuge at the home of a strange family.
Uh-huh.
Very kind of looks very classic, um, very old school European vampire-y.
Yes.
Or The Vampire Lovers from 1970, more sexy lesbian hammer horror take on vampires.
Uh-huh.
Seth Hart recommends Shadow of the Vampire. The FW now
Hmm.
makes the Faustian pact with the vampire to get him to star in the 1922 film Nosferatu. King and Commoner recommends Nosferatu from 2024 if it's in theaters when you roll this. I don't think it's out yet. I think it comes out in like a month or something. I don't think it hits theaters for a minute.
Yeah, it's a Christmas Day release.
Yeah. So we're
Yeah.
not quite there yet.
We're recording this
King
in
Commoner
November.
also, I love this. King Commoner also recommends Dracula 3000.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
If you want something as bad as Leprechaun in space.
Hmm.
Second Shadow of the Vampire. Clayton Flesher seconds Nosferatu 2024. Haven't gotten there yet. Vampire Hunter D from 1985, animated film that's very heavy on the gothic horror, very enjoyable. In this case, the period is a distant future where vampires rule the world as the aristocracy, but it might be hard to find streaming.
Yeah. We've got some people seconding Interview with Vampire, Vampire Lovers, and Vordelak. That's from Bubblegum Lich. Cronenberg TA, Bram Stoker's Dracula. Fifth Hammer, thirding Bram Stoker's Dracula. Fourthing Shadow of the Vampire from Suspicious Beans. So these are all some really solid ones. Monstrum gives us Dracula Untold from 2014,
Oh,
the
yeah.
untold origin of Dracula from his time as a warlord to his life as a creature of the night in 15th century Transylvania. The schlock is strong with this one, says
Yes, I
Monstrum.
think I have seen this one. It
Okay.
is a little schlocky. It is a bit
Uh-huh.
schlocky. Ganymede's Cup recommends Vampire Circus,
Oh, sure.
1972, a British horror film directed by Robert Young. As the plague sweeps across the countryside, a quarantine village is visited by a mysterious traveling circus. Soon, young children begin to disappear, and the locals suspect the circus troupe might be hiding a horrifying secret set in the 19th century.
Mm,
I mean, who doesn't love a vampire circus?
right.
Sema Horror recommends Brides of Dracula 1960, Hammer horror film that is not about Dracula, but actually about the Baron Meinster, starring Peter Cushing as Van Helsing, and often overlooked in the Hammer films, but one of their personal faves. The vampire hunter, Van Helsing, returns to Transylvania to destroy handsome bloodsucker Baron Meinster, who has designs on a beautiful young school teacher.
Okay. Oh, Danica
Donna,
Ray gives us Last Voyage of the Demeter, which came out last year. Recent
yeah, I didn't see
entry.
that one.
Yeah, I didn't either. That definitely looks like in the realm of action
Yeah. It
horror
looks
sort of thing.
scary. Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely
it looks
scary.
scary. Yeah,
Action scary.
yeah,
As did our next recommendation, Van Helsing,
sure.
recommended by Olivia.
Uh-huh. Um, more Dracula 3D. Dario Argento does Dracula. This comes
Oh
from Weaponized
my. Oh
Toaster.
dear. Okay.
And Byzantium. Mayhem follows when two female vampires who are on the run from a kindred group take refuge at a seaside British community. While mostly contemporary, there are flashbacks to the 1800s.
Baldwin Spider seconds, Interview with the Vampire, Shadow of the Vampire, throwing in Helsing Ultimate,
Uh-huh.
2006, made in the late 2000s, set in the 90s. They're like Dracula, I mean, Alucard is an extremely powerful vampire that hunts others of his kind for queen and country. Very fun, very stylish, and Nazi vampires. Okay, so it's
Okay.
like Dracula versus Nazi vampires.
Sure. Great.
Martin recommends AMC's Interview with the Vampire, but that's
Uh-huh.
a TV show. We're not doing
Yeah.
TV shows at the moment. Eric Riley, Vordelok, Phantom
Uh-huh.
Queen, Interview with the Vampire. And B. D'Angelo says Isle of the Dead from 1945, a lesser known Boris Karloff role.
Uh-huh.
A Greek island during the 1912 war. Several people are trapped by quarantine for the plague. And if that's not enough worry, one of the people, a superstitious old peasant, suspects a young woman of being a vampiric demon.
Awesome. That sounds fun. All right. Well, thank you all for contributing some really cool movie ideas. What you feeling, Cecil?
This is such a strong matchup here
Mm-hmm.
because most vampire, I mean, you're a vampire, you live a really long time. It's probably going to have some sort of period, time period kind of thing.
Yeah.
Um,
For me, I think Bram Stoker's Dracula.
I know.
I think and I think if we want to, or Interview with the Vampire, those are some like classic, like
Yeah.
90s, like just huge Hollywood set
Yeah.
pieces with great actors and sexy and gorgeous and all of
Yeah.
that. And then I think for old movies, you've got Dracula, which is a little bit more like Hollywood Universal monster movie.
Sure.
And then you've got Vampire, which is
I
very
know.
much like German art housey sort
More,
of.
yeah, more European style.
Hmm.
Oof.
Those are
I
the four that stood out the most to me. Although Shadow of the Vampire, we don't often get a chance to
I
see
know
that.
I love Shadow of the Vampire. I've seen it quite a bit. And I really like Shadow of the Vampire because it gets into like the art of filmmaking and the sort of it's the sort of the ins and outs of filmmaking, dealing with actors, dealing with sets and photography and that sort
Uh-huh.
of stuff in the 1920s in
Uh-huh.
film history, which I think is interesting, and then throws a vampire into the mix of it, which I
Hmm.
think is kind of cool. But
I
these
think,
are all pretty
oh, another
solid.
really good one that got brought up on the
And
list
also the
here.
Vordelak.
Yeah, I was about to say the Vordelak. Like that was originally posted by Max Bird.
Yeah.
I've heard, I've had my friend Laura is like, she saw this movie this past year and was like, you got to see this thing. It's
Yeah.
amazing. It doesn't sound like it is strictly horror, but she says the puppet is amazing. The puppet work in this is
Oh,
really cool. It's
okay.
really good. So I'm really interested in the
Mm,
Vordelak because that really gets us into like some contemporary art bullshit.
yeah.
It looks really fun. It's a French film too.
Yeah. Do you think we
Um,
could get six? Do you think we could get six out of these and roll it? Roll for it?
we could, yeah, definitely. We are, if nothing else.
Because here's the thing,
Random
as
number
much as
generating.
I think Hammer horror is a lot of fun, I love the vampire circuses. I love, the Van Helsings. The vampire, like the Hammer horror is a lot of fun, but period piece is a stretch. It's more like period light. And in the same way that the Van Helsings and things like that are kind of Hollywood's version of period, which is very actiony.
Hmm.
Like if we've got period, I kind of want something that sort of respects the actual period nature of like we're actually trying to go for something a little more realistic and a little less like I don't know, we just put, women in peasant blouses and called it a
Yes.
day.
Yes. Um, all right, so here's six we could do. See what you think of this selection of six for a roll here, which is we rolled a one, it would be Bram Stoker's Dracula. Rolled a two, it would be Dracula from 1931. Rolled a three, it would be Vampire. Four, it would be Interview with a Vampire. Five, The Vordelak. Or six, Shadow of the Vampire. What do we think
I
of
think
those
that
six?
that sounds great.
Is it my turn to roll?
I think it's my turn.
Go for it,
I think so.
please. I couldn't remember.
That's a two.
We're gonna watch the original 1931
Let's do it.
Dracula. Amazing. Well, there we did. We did it. We did it. We got a period piece Dracula vampire film. So thank you
I've
all for
never seen
listening.
this movie, Jeffrey.
I haven't either. I'm
I've
excited.
never seen this movie.
Excited to get an oldie. Well, thank you all for listening. Thank you, Cecil, for talking with me. And if you have thoughts on The Devil's Backbone or ideas for other movies that would have been good, Vampire Meets Period Piece, let us know on Instagram or on Patreon at Random Horror 9. By the way, our Patreon has public discussion threads where you don't have to be a paying member to participate. So watch Dracula 1931 with us this week and come on back next Tuesday for a new episode. Have a restful night with no unexploded bombs in your courtyard or nothing. Boo.